What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here with the review for Belle Collective, Season 1, Episode number 4. And the episode is titled Bad Brunch Behavior. Oh, this episode was a mess. Tisha, I'm going to hold off on you on a minute because I ain't going to read you, but your friend, she's a mess. Well, let's get into the episode, you guys. All right, you guys, I'm gonna start up with Latrice since she didn't have a whole lot in this episode. I will say one thing about Latrice: she was smart, because we saw her at her store. She was talking to her people. So somebody had went in her store and stole some eyelashes. I'm like, damn. I don't know if I would steal from a black business. I just don't know if that is terrible. How do we as black people go in and steal from our own people? At least we can go in and steal from, never, I'm not even gonna say that either. But damn, y'all really went into this woman's business and stole some eyelashes. How much are eyelashes? I don't buy stuff like that, so I can't really say how much eyelashes are. She's also talking about, in her interview with the producers, how right now it's not easy getting her business up and her other business up and running, but I have faith in your girl. You'll get it up and running. And then she also talks about this brunch that Tisha's gonna have and how she is steering clear of that brunch since that Marie is gonna be there. And Latrice, you were right not to go to that brunch. So yeah, let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys, let's talk about Marie. It's so funny looking at Marie. Marie is one way when it comes to these ladies, but in Marie's personal life, she's a different person, and it's interesting to me, to say the least. So we see Marie and Jbarrett, so they go to a therapist, and Marie, she plays the recording for the therapist so that Jbarrett doesn't have to recount what he believes happened. So the therapist is listening to it, and Jbarrett, he's just sitting there looking dumbfounded, and I'm just like, dude, you hear this conversation, you hear this interaction that you had with your mother, but you have no kind of remorse. It doesn't seem like it's phasing you. It doesn't seem like it's having any kind of effect on you. You just sitting here looking, like I said, dumbstruck. And like I said last week, my mom, my mother and I, we had our arguments, like any parent and child is gonna do. You're gonna have an argument with your parents when maybe they want you to do one thing and you feel you should do something else. We had our little tit for tat arguments, but nothing to that point where I was punching holes in the wall or stuff like that. And even with my biological mother, I've never done anything like that with her. Now, has she and I had our issues? Absolutely. Have we said, some not so nice things to one another? 100%. She's come at me, I've come back at her. But, I've never once gone to those links trying to get, just going like what he's done with her. I've actually, despite, the fact that, like I said, we've had arguments with each other, I've never once cussed her out. I've never once called her out of her name. I've never done any of that stuff. I've just said, like I said, I've said some things that haven't been the nicest to her, but I've never gone to this length that this young man is doing with his mother. So Marie, in her interview, she was telling us about the fact that she got pregnant with him at 18 and her mom was addicted to drugs. So she made a vow that when she had him, she wouldn't be the type of mother that her mother was to her. And I do get that. But I still think that Marie, in a sense, by giving him everything and not holding him accountable for things, has led to where he is today. Like he's talking about, he doesn't see what the big issue was, him going to school. There's no issue with you going to school. That's absolutely not what I don't think he's even listening to what she's saying. She's not saying that you going to school was the issue. What the issue is that you have 3 babies under the age of 1, and you're going to a college that's 3 hours away from your kids. That's not a good look. What you need to do is go to a community college You guys live in Jackson, Mississippi, so go to Jackson State, which is a HBCU. Go there. That is a great school to go to. I have friends that graduated from Jackson State, so why don't you go there instead of trying to go 3 hours away? I don't give a damn if it's for basketball. If like I have a really good. We've been friends since we were kids. I've actually known her family since I was 3 or 4 years old. So my friend, she got pregnant when we were seniors in high school, and her mom and my mom really good friends as well because of the fact that me and her brother were best friends, still are. So our moms became really cool with each other. They talked on the phone, even if me and my best friend were not hanging out. My mom and her mom were on the phone. So like I said, she got pregnant our senior year of high school, and her mom told my mom, and she asked her. She said, "So what is her plans when she what is her plans?" Because this was literally our senior year that she was pregnant. She was like, she's gonna graduate, and then she's gonna once she has the baby, because when she had her daughter, it was after our graduate. It was after graduation, so she was still so it was a little bit before graduation. Yeah, this is before graduation. So when she had her, we graduated, and then we went to college. And she didn't go to school on campus that first semester. She did everything online. And the crazy thing is, she graduated before I did. I graduated a year after she did, but she graduated early from college, and she's a nurse. Got her own house. So it's not saying you can't do it. Just be logical. But again, she only had one child. He has 3 kids. And I get it. You want to play basketball. You can make a reel about yourself, and if you get someone that on your team that's good, they can make a reel of your of some of your highlights and send it to some of the different scouts, agents, and stuff like that. But yeah, Marie, I blame you because he's too dependent on you instead of being independent of himself. So I blame you for that one. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. I did not mean to go into a long rant with Marie, but let's talk about Tambra and her hair. So we see Tambra and her hair, and she's meeting with the GM of the local Fox station there in Jackson, Mississippi. Her name is Ramona. So she says that Ramona has given her great advice over the years. So Tambra is talking about the fact that she wants to go into the news. She wants to go into national news. So I'm assuming she means something like maybe GMA, or she could even do like talk shows like The Real, The Talk. I guess she can mean stuff like that. So then they also talk about family, because Ramona lets her know, like, girl, if you want that stuff, you're gonna have to leave Jackson, Mississippi, because it's not gonna happen here. Well, it could, but I'm not national news. You would have to go to some big cities like LA, New York. I'm trying to think about where some of the other shows film at. Most of them film in LA and New York, so that would be places that you would have to go. Then they discuss children as well, and Ramona never had kids. And she says, there are times that she does regret not having kids, and I'm even in that position at 31 years old. I'm thinking like, damn, I'm getting a little bit older. I'm not old. I'm getting older. I'm getting up. I'm starting to get, I'm starting to age a little bit, and I'm like, I don't even have kids, and I'm starting to think at this age, 31, I'm like, I'm getting in a good spot, and that's what I've been telling myself for years. I just want to be in a I don't have to be, I'm not saying I need to be rich or anything, but I want to be in a position where I can take care of my children. Because I'm ready for kids. And, I always feel bad when it comes to women. I really do. I hate that with women. They have a time clock. But a man, I don't have a time clock. I can have a kid as late as I can have a kid. Even if I make it to 90, I can still have a kid, and I hate that. I really do hate that women have I do. Like, I hate that women have a time clock on when they can have kids. But I do like the fact that modern medicine today allows women the opportunity to harvest their eggs and freeze them in hopes that if they do want to have kids one day, they can do that. So I do like that modern medicine has done that. But like I said, I just still hate the fact that there's a time clock on a woman, and then even with you harvesting your eggs, and even if you go get a sperm donor, if you're at a certain age where you can't carry the kids, and I know most women would love to feel, their baby growing inside of them, kicking and all that stuff. It's interesting, to say the least. So then we see Tam burn her hair and she goes out to dinner with her ex-boyfriend. They discuss kids. They both want kids. Then they talk about what the downfalls were in their relationship. Tamra tells her side of it. I really didn't understand what she was saying because she was talking about friendships. I'm like, did y'all, because I was kind of confused when she was talking about it. It's like, so when y'all were dating, did y'all realize that y'all were better as friends than in a relationship? But then we hear him talk. He was supportive of her and, her aspirations, but then he tells her that there's a difference between her personal life and her professional life, which she doesn't see it. But I'm like, I can kind of see it. She's an ambitious woman. And I'm not saying that she maybe forgot about him, but I can see where her ambition maybe, got ahead of her personal life. So I can see that. Let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys, let's talk about Letitia real quick. The one thing I want to say about Letitia is I hated that wig that she was wearing when she went to meet the councilman, the appraiser, and the contractor on Fair Street. So she's talking about what she wants to do with Fair Street. She's talking about what she wants to do with the one particular building, that she wants to buy that building. And I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it was the appraiser or if it was the contractor, but one of them told her that that building is not for sale. And she's like, wait a minute, the building's not for sale. They said, no, since it's a historical landmark, it's up for lease. And they told her that her leasing it, she's looking at $500,000 for acquisition. Then the renovation is somewhere between $900,000 and 1.5 mil. And then after that, she still has to come up to code. I'm like, damn, you got $500,000 and then 1.5. You already looking at 2 million right there. Like you're already at 2 million, and then to come up to code, who knows how much that's gonna cost. I mean, but it's still, I still get it. But then the councilman, he was like, in a few years, we can look into you actually purchasing it. I'm like, okay. Oh, that's a lot of money though. It's $500,000 for acquisition, and then it's 900,000 to 1.5 million just to renovate it. And then the building is old, so there's no telling what condition that building is in once you actually get in there and start working on it. That's one of the things with older buildings, like, and then like some buildings, they have some of these, like, I know back in my hometown there were some old buildings back in the day that some of my family members used to work at that have asbestos in them. So that's one thing. You have to think about, how old the building is. If it's from the 50s, the 60s, 50s and the 60s, actually go back to the 20s to the 50s and stuff, when, so if it's something between that time frame, you don't know what materials they were using to build. So it's just a lot of stuff that comes with that. But, honestly, as much as it sounds like the comeback group from Love and Marriage Huntsville, I do like this idea, and I do hope that this does come to fruition, because it would be nice. I think that's, something in every city where there's a affluent, black businesses. I think that, like even in my hometown, there was a black school. There was a school that, every black person went to, called Old Emma Scott. It was 3 of them, I think. It was an elementary, a middle school, and a high school. Now they demolished the elementary school and the middle school. They demolished those 2. Actually, it was 2 high schools. It was 2 high schools. So they've demolished the high schools. They demolished one of the high schools. Actually, no. My high school. I'm trying to think about it. That's interesting. Oh, that's what happened. The high school that I graduated from, it burned at one point. Okay, that's right. But yeah, there were two high schools, a middle school and an elementary. Those three have been demolished. They do still have the one high school, which they've turned it into like a place where you can go if you want to have a gathering with people, and then another side where there is a school, but it's a school where people some when I was in high school, it was a place where young girls would go who got pregnant. They could go there, up until they have the baby, and then when they come back, from having a baby, they can go there and finish school. And it's also a place where you can go and get your GED. So I mean, because yeah, in my hometown, I don't think we have too many. We don't have a black plate, a black, like an affluent black neighborhood. We just have the hood. So then we later see Letitia and Antoinette. They meet at the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum. Looking at that, it's interesting. It was really, I was happy to see it, but it's really interesting because when you saw those shackles that the slaves were in, it just makes you think to yourself like, wow. And then you see the slave ship. It's just like, wow, they really brought people to this country against their will. How do you buy people? How do you buy people? How do you put people in extreme conditions to do the work that you don't want to do, all because they look different from you? I just don't understand. I don't understand that. And then you have people who say, go back to where you came from, or, it's just so much stuff that you see from, I'm gonna say, racist white people to black people, when you guys were not you guys weren't the original people here in the U.S. Christopher Columbus didn't find shit you can't find shit that people were already inhabiting. And then you can see those pictures of them again lynching. It's just like lynching the slaves, all that stuff. You do this to people who look different from you just because our skin is darker. Make it make sense. And then the Confederate flag. That is the one thing that I actually do hate. When people try to say, "Oh, that's a part of our history," like when people were taking down them Confederate monuments last year, and you had who supporters talking about who and his supporters talking about that's part of history. That's a terrible part of history that we would love to not even think about. Like, are you serious? Real Housewives of Potomac can't just. My cousin just sent me a text message about something with Real Housewives of Potomac. Sorry, you guys. Like it's ridiculous to me to say that's a part of our heritage, that's a part of our history. So you're okay with the racism? I'm gonna stop there and let's move on to this brunch. Now, what I will say about this brunch is I was confused about the dress code. They looked like my big mama. And love you, big mama. Rest in peace to you. I'm not shading you because I love you, but the hats, those hats was what's throwing me off. Because my grandmother had a lot. My grandmother had a closet full of hats, and my grandma's hats were, she had nice hats. I just never understood the hats. They sit. I mean, could we be in church and I'd be like, oh my God, like my pastor, his mother. We would sit behind her, and I'm just like, oh my God, this hat is huge. Like, the hat is out to here. I'm like, why do we need these big hats? But, it is what it is. So then they just start talking about racism, and, they ask who all has experienced racism. Basically, every woman in there raised their hand with the exception of one that didn't raise her hand. And then Tamber in her hair tells her story about racism. Okay. What was I at? My cousin's still texting me. So yeah, racism. I have a story that I'm going to tell at some point in a story time about my first experience of racism. I was in I was in a wet seal. I think I was with my best friend, or I was with I can't remember who I was with at this time, but I was in wet seal. Actually, it was my best friend. I think it was my best friend. I was in wet seal, and my best friend was shopping. We were getting ready to go out to the club for the night, and she was looking at some clothes, and I was actually I was on the side of her. I was just following them behind her, and there was this young white girl following me, and I think I've told this story before. Maybe I have, but I'll go a little bit in depth one day about the story, how it actually what all happened, or maybe but yeah, she was following me, and I asked her, "Why are you following me?" She wouldn't even say anything. But y'all go in detail one day about the story. So I got profiled in Wet Seal when I'm a man in Wet Seal. I can't wear anything in Wet Seal, and then I also got profile. I didn't even realize it until I was watching this show that man actually. So I was one night. I went outside to walk across this, walk because I couldn't sleep. I haven't. I don't. Sometimes I have insomnia, so I'll wake up early and I'll wake up in the mornings and I'll just go for a walk. And it was like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. I went outside, across the street from my house, and there was a cop. He he just bothered me for no reason. He asked me where was I going. I said I'm just walking. And then he got real disrespectful towards me. I should have took his badge number and reached out to my friend that just retired. But he called me. He called me boy. He said, "Go home, boy." And I went back at him, and I didn't realize that until I was doing this, writing these notes, that man called me boy, and it was a white man. So Kaylin, now she got uncomfortable by this conversation. She got uncomfortable by the conversation with them, and then she got up and left out. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have followed her. These are black women. They're giving their experience. They're not saying that all white people are racist. They're just saying that there are some there are some that are racist, and they're telling our experiences. Like, don't diminish that. Now, Marie, when Kaylin came back to explain her case, Marie, you should have just let that woman talk instead of saying, "This is Tisha's moment. Let her talk." I was like, oh God, here we go with Marie and the bullshit. Okay, and then Kaylin, you was out of line for telling her, "Come here." Huh? No. But you guys, that was Belle Collector. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. Share this video. And until the next one, you guys stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Wear your mask and socially distance. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. And also, guys, go subscribe to the Planner channel. Links, the description, everything is in the description bar as well as my affiliate. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.